Okay, welcome back. This is the final session of chapter 5, and now we're going to talk about a few other things that contribute to not just the personality and the critical thinking and the manipulation. We're going to talk about different types of motivation. And so on these next two pages, I want you to review on what is the motivations that motivate you the most. So we have external motivation, and then we have internal motivation. And so internal motivation is very different from external motivation, as you can see. And so when you're completing this, I just want to explain this to you. So when other people choose goals for you, and it's happened to all of us, and they say, this is what I want you to do, this is where I want you to go, this is the direction you need to be. If you don't have any buy-in to that, then you might just be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do it. And so this is when the other people start kind of pushing you forward, and they're always pushing you and saying, you have to complete this, you have to do this. And you're feeling really frustrated, as you can see by this. And so I want you to write down how it makes you feel when someone else chooses goals for you, and then write down what kind of goals they have chosen for you and what you would really rather be doing instead of what they want you to do. And so this is really important, because external motivation, you have to understand something, is temporary, because it falls under the control category, which is what model? It's the benefits model. And so the benefits model says somebody else is in control, somebody else is choosing for you, and they're driving you to it. Now, it's different from having a coach and somebody that's encouraging you. That's different, because you're wanting to do something, but maybe you need some help, saying, hey, I'm on this diet, can I have somebody that's accountable with me? That person's not forcing you, you're actively engaging in it. That's different from external motivation. External motivation says somebody else is calling the shots. It's a benefits model, it's frustrating, you don't feel like you're getting any headway, and as soon as they stop applying pressure, you go back. And sometimes you actually are worse off afterwards than if they had never tried to push you in that direction before, because now you got depression and you have like, I'm a failure, I can't do anything. And so we don't want you to experience that. But I do want you to write down when this has actually occurred. And so let's also talk then about the better kind of motivation, and it's an internal motivation. The internal motivation says, I'm clear on my objectives. I know what my purpose is. I know what I need to do to invest in order to obtain my purpose. And so I want to internal motivation is different, because this is the kind of motivation that says, I'm clear on my objectives. I'm clear on what my purpose is. I know what I need to do to invest in myself. I need education. I need to reorganize my relationships in my life. I need to be very focused on developing my personality so that I can be the most authentic self, and even discover some hidden traits and hidden treasures in the underdeveloped side of my personality. I'm motivated. I've learned some things in this course, and so I'm clear on what my objectives are. And so what happens then is it really changes the dynamic of the relationships you have in your life, because instead of people trying to force you and push you, and then they get just as frustrated as you are, they're like your cheerleaders, and they're saying, hey, you know what, I'm super excited, this is great, I'm doing really well, and you're doing really well, and guess what? Life is going to be a lot easier for us. And so I want you to spend some time on this page and complete these goals that you would like to choose for yourself. And you might even go as far as to identify people in your life that can help motivate you, that can be like your coach and your encourager as you're going through this, because this is really important. Okay, and then what I want you to do is to go to the next page. And the next page is going to talk about what motivates you. And so on this page, with what motivates you, you get an opportunity to really write down a narrative and answers about, I need to be authentic and honest. What motivates me in my life? How can I actually be self-motivated so I can become self-directed? And then as you're going through this, you're going to notice that we have another exercise here, and it's called Critical Thinking Ask. And this is where you need to be really attentive about the relationships in your life, because this speaks back to the critical thinking and the manipulation. And if you aren't clear on the relationships in your life, what will happen is that they will become drivers to you instead of supporters. So follow this through. It's just an acronym for how to really avoid and protect yourself from being manipulated. Active listening, that means you ask the questions back to this person. You know, a funny way of doing it, let's say, you know, somebody came up to me and said, I think you're fat. And I said, so let me get this right. Did you just say you thought I was fat? And they'd say, well, that's not exactly what I said. I said, okay, well, what exactly did you say? And they go, well, I just think you're really heavy. Okay, well, let me get this right. So did you just ask me or just make a statement, you thought I was really heavy? And they'd say, no, that's not what I really meant. That's not what I said. And so you realize right there that that person is probably trying to manipulate you through some type of an emotional ploy. And that gives you the freedom to keep asking the question back until either they tire of it or they're actually honest with you and say, you know, actually, I'm just really having a bad day and I thought I'd be mean to you, of course. And then that leads to a completely different discussion. And so the next one is solution driven. You want to really achieve a solution. When people have difficult conversations, you do not want to ever argue for the sake of arguing and just to get something off your chest. Because remember, that would mean what part of your brain is at work? The amygdala. We don't want that making decisions and driving decisions, okay, especially in relationships. What you want to do is have a solution. And so you have to be able to, in your head, already be engaged with, I need to really go into this discussion knowing that there needs to be a solution so that people are protected. Because you don't want to harm other people. Even if they're not the greatest people, you still don't want to harm them either, because that's baggage that you're going to have to take the rest of your life, and you don't need it, not on your journey to purpose. And so when you go into the discussion, you have to ask, you know, are we looking to solve something? Are you just looking to get something off your chest? Is there a healthy way to do it? You know, can we speak about difficult topics and still remain friends or remain intact without walking away feeling like we have to lick our wounds, okay? And then the last one is K, know when to walk away. And there are going to be some people in your life that they are just begging for an argument. They just are mad at the world and they just want to have a fight. And you know what? You don't need it. That would put you in the place of war. And we already learned that war is not going to bring any solutions. It's about destruction. It's about tearing down. And you cannot learn if you're in war. That only happens in the peace model, which is in the investment model. And so you have to be able to say, look, you know, let's come back another day, or maybe they just need to be moved out in your world of relationships. And let's maybe talk about this some other time so that we don't have to constantly get into this kind of defeating conversation where nothing is ever solved, nothing is ever produced that's healthy, that contributes to your peace of mind or my peace of mind. And so know when to walk away, all right? And so think about these things as we've gone through them. I've explained how to do each piece. And again, spend some reflective time doing this so that when you're by yourself and you're realizing, I see that I need to do this with some of my relationships, remember, it's about your purpose, and it's also about their purpose as well, because negative and unhealthy interfaces like that with manipulation or non-critical thinking, it only damages relationships. It doesn't enhance relationships. And you need healthy relationships in your life as much as they do. And so for the sake of this course, you're on your journey for purpose. You're on your journey for self-discovery and self-authenticity and personal growth. And so apply some of these techniques, and all of these techniques really, and I can promise you that things are going to be much more clear to you in terms of how you're living your life out. Okay? I'll see you at the next chapter.